This is an item presented by Councilmember Davis, item 7.01. Councilmember Davis.
Thank you, ma'am. This amendment came from a 7-month legal company task force meetings that we had, within the last 7 months, from the county to the city and its different departments. And so we're asking that the administration will allocate funding to purchase 25 surveillance camera systems for monitoring of chronic illegal dumping areas throughout council districts B, D, H, and K. These 5 areas were brought to our attention by solid waste, and so that's why we picked these 5 council districts. Each council district will receive 5 camera systems for sole use within each said council district bound areas for illegal dumping surveillance. The camera system will cost approximately $10,000 per unit, creating a total funding amount of $250,000. An additional $120,000 should be allocated for hiring extra FTEs to review and report on the recorded footage. The total funding for the camera systems and FTEs is $370,000. And we've placed at the bottom as some funding sources either the asset forfeiture fund or the general revenue fund. And since we've identified the asset forfeiture fund because it is a part of the police department, and so we're requesting that I know we were talking about we're going to find money, and I'm going to ask that as you go back, we find money within that fund, asset forfeiture fund.
Councilmember, it's my understanding that you were willing to offer the substitute that was proposed below that?
Now, yes, to accept this proposed substitute, but there's a gradual stage. You know, we make sure that we allocate the funding. So in December, when it works and we've made the tweaks, and we progress forward with the other districts.
When we have a better idea of the true cost, because right now, we have estimates.
Yes, ma'am.
So
our basic estimates came from within the environmental department, Houston Police Department, and so that's where we.
Yes, sir. My question is, do we have the main item before us, or are you offering the substitution that we suggested to you that is below that? I just need to know which one you're moving forward.
I'm going to move forward the original amendment that I submitted.
Okay. Therefore, the administration does oppose this. Is an expenditure of almost $400,000 not currently in budget. Is there a discussion? Councilmember Adams.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have just a question, and I guess sometimes I can speak from both sides of the fence, being a former civilian employee now is elected, but I know that Director Hayes has been here sometimes, and in the past, we have had surveillance cameras in the past in various communities. Some of the ones they used to talk, they used to take pictures. You know, this is something not new to city government. So my question, I guess, would be what analysis that they did in the past to look at, because District D used to have them, formerly now District K. We used to have them all on Player Street in Councilmember Green's current district right now. So I'm just wondering what analysis was used in the past to determine cameras in the community. So I'm just wondering, can we use the same information based on the determination of cameras in the past? So, because this is nothing new with illegal dumping cameras that we've had. I know the environmental analysis that's slated. I know Sylvia Rumlow has their shop in HPD. So I guess my question is, how can we go back and look at how do we use the cameras in the past, which I know that it's needed because illegal dumping has occurred, because Director Hayes had already laid out a map on where the most illegal dumping has occurred. I see that Councilmember Davis has put the district where it has the highest. So I'm wondering, can we go back to that data from previous, or ask Director Hayes maybe come before committee, or to see how we can bring that forward, currently, because it won't be something new that we've done it in the past already. So I'm just trying to figure out, can we use, cause what we've done in the past, current to restore those same cameras if the possibility of funding come up later?
I'm not sure I quite followed your.
We used to have
Question.
cameras in the past,
We
so,
have,
yeah,
and
so it's
the
nothing
issue-
that it's not, we've done everything in the past.
We had cameras, we
Right.
had illegal dumping cameras when I was a
Right.
councilor. I will say that was a long time ago and technology has changed.
Right,
There are limits to what these cameras can do, and they are often targets for vandalism. First thing that happens is somebody goes out and tries to tamper with them or steal them. And so, they have, and it depends on the appropriate camera angles, and, you have to commit to the follow through, which is why we suggested a small pilot to see if the technology had changed sufficient to where we think they're more efficient. If we thought these cameras did an outstanding job, I could put cameras everywhere. But, because technology changes so rapidly, there are opportunities, and we know that, we have a multitude of surveillance cameras across the city, often in private hands, and we work diligently to try to work with the private sector to have law enforcement access to this camera data. So, there may be some big utility here, but this program, again, will, expected, costs of $370,000.
so that means if the second amendment would have passed, the funding would have been allocated to purchase the 5 to do the pilot in District B. If
Correct,
number
and
two
that would have
been-
been approximately $74,000.
Okay, so that means we would have been able to move forward with that to see how we would roll out additional cameras in other districts if the
Right.
second amendment would have passed.
Right, the main item is before us. Do you have further questions, Councilman? Councilmember Green?
Thank you, Mayor. I guess my question is kind of in that last vein with regard to Councilman Adams, with regard to funding. And the question is whether or not this is a dumping issue or is this a funding issue. The task force for the last 7 months obviously delineated where the challenges are within the city. And so the issue is whether or not we're going to allocate appropriate funds to deal with the issue, or but to me, to suggest a pilot when we already know what the challenges are, is it because it's a dollar amount that's the challenge in this issue? And then two, moving forward, if in fact we are able to determine that there's an issue relative to the test pilot program, if we were to go that route, will dollars be allocated in this particular FY14 budget to take care of the other council districts? How will we go about to handle that issue? So I would, if you could speak to that, that'd be.
Councilmember, we know where the illegal dumping happens, and we know that surveillance cameras can be very useful in appropriate locations. As I tried to convey to Councilmember Adams, we have used various forms of surveillance cameras to try to deal with illegal dumping over the years, and there are some problems associated with it. Most surveillance cameras that are particularly useful are in areas where they're inaccessible to somebody who doesn't want to have their picture taken. And so there are some challenges with it. By definition, these illegal dump sites are off the beaten path.
Got it, but is this a funding
And so
issue?
now it is both a utility issue, which is why we said we're willing to test a pilot, but it is also a funding issue because now we have significantly cut the revenue coming into the city
Thank you.
by prior vote.